Four nations face off last night from Boston. Team USA up against Sweden, but not too much to play for since the Americans already have a spot clinched in the championship game. U.S. scored in the opening minute thanks to Chris Kreider, but then never lit the lamp again. Sweden came back to take that 2-1 win. The numbers, though, when you see the stats, they were on the American side. They outshot Sweden by 10, but were unable to get anything past Samuel Ersson other than that initial goal. Got to get past this one, though, because since Canada took care of business, we'll get an American-Canadian rematch for the championship. Head coach Mike Sullivan is just like us and looking forward to it.
I think it's great for hockey that there's an opportunity for these two teams to meet again. You know, obviously they're both teams have star power all around the lineup. It was a very competitive hockey game, the first game. I would anticipate the next one will be as every bit as competitive, if not more. So, you know, as I said after that game against Canada, you know, the way that game was played with the emotional investment on both sides, it's just such an indication of how much these guys care. And what this means to them. There's a lot of pride at stake. It will be an incredible atmosphere. I know our guys are excited about the opportunity to play in the championship. That was the objective when we got here. You know, we're going to have to earn it again.
That crowd will be rocking in Boston at the Garden on Thursday, 8 p.m. We'll see if the fights ring out, though, early in this one like we did in Montreal just last week. Before the tournament began, Canada was favored to win it all. USA then got that win 3-1 back on February 15th. Things change. Vegas makes up their mind one way, and they can switch it up, and that's what Canada's head coach John Cooper is learning himself.
Coop, the betting markets have the Americans favored on Thursday, and I was wondering if you consider yourselves the underdogs.
I don't know. Listen, it's, you know, betting's become quite an industry now. It's amazing that we sit here in a press conference talking about gambling. So, I don't care. Who's favored, who's not. You know, we come in here to win this, and it's, I don't know who's making, are you making the lines?
I wish.
Yeah, so I don't know who's making the lines, but I'm really looking forward to the game. This is why we came here, and regardless if other people out there say, you know, we're the underdogs. I mean, everybody in that room thinks we have a really good chance to win.
I'm not making the lines for that one either, and neither is Pete Blackburn, but he is joining us now to get deeper into this Four Nations face-off. And Pete, let's talk about this final now, because it's probably what everyone outside of if you lived in Sweden or Finland wanted at the outset of this. Knowing that we will get that rematch from last week's game that had all the theatrics, how pumped are you for U.S.-Canada playing in Boston?
Yeah, no disrespect to the Finns or Swedes, but I think this is all what we wanted, especially after Saturday night and how much pop and juice there was in that building. And just one of the best games that we've seen in a while. And I bet the NHL probably wants this too, given what the ratings looked like on Saturday night. And I couldn't tell you a single American that wasn't rooting for Canada yesterday just because of the fact they wanted that final on Thursday, even if it felt dirty to root for Canada. So, you know, just based off the matchup and what we got in terms of the hate, in terms of the talent, in terms of the product and the entertainment, having it again on Thursday night is huge, and I think it's what everybody wanted.
Yeah, I'm on social media feed. I was seeing accounts that I've never seen post about hockey, posting about that match, that initial game between Canada and the U.S. to just show how much intrigue there is for this one. On the American side, though, maybe some injury concerns, although they are saying that they are, quote, good to go. But the list is getting long. Matthew Tkachuk, Austin Matthews, Charlie McAvoy all sat out last night. Then Brady Tkachuk played and left with a lower body injury. Are you concerned for the health of the American squad?
Yeah, it's hard not to be. I mean, you look at the names that you listed, and two of the ones that I'm particularly concerned about are Matthew Tkachuk and Charlie McAvoy, because Charlie McAvoy, according to sources, and Jim McBride from the Boston Globe, said he was admitted to Mass General Hospital last night as a result of his injury. So that's obviously concerning and doesn't lend well for his availability on Thursday. And then Matthew Tkachuk, it seems like the Americans are kind of brushing off the seriousness of his injury, but it does seem like he's dealing with something, maybe a groin injury that could be a big issue and keep him out Thursday as well. So, you look at how good Matthew Tkachuk was, not only in terms of a player, but in terms of a tone setter on Saturday night against the Canadiens, and the energy and the grit and the toughness that he brings to the lineup. If you're missing that, that's a tough loss. And then for Charlie McAvoy, he had probably the best game that he's played in multiple years on Saturday night, matching up against Canada's top talent. I mean, he laid out Connor McDavid twice in that game, which is physicality that we don't often see from Charlie McAvoy outside of the international realm. He definitely seems to level up his game in the international arena. So it'd be a tough loss to lose him, especially after the game he plays on Saturday. The good news for the Americans is that they have a very deep blue line, and they might be able to survive the loss of McAvoy. And I wouldn't necessarily worry too much about the Austin Matthews, Brady Tkachuk. I think those were more precautionary, although I will say Austin Matthews has been dealing with a nagging injury basically this whole season, and I think that he hasn't looked all that right for the Americans through the first couple games, at least offensively. He's been great defensively, and if he's able to get into the lineup and continue what he's done for them as far as a 200-foot game and defensive game, I think that's a nice addition to have in the lineup.
Yeah, it's just like if we could have our way, we want everyone to be healthy so we can see both teams at full strength and really go mano-a-mano against one another. I want to look at Canada for a second here, because Jordan Binnington gave up 3 goals to Finland last night. He gave up 2 to the Americans last week. Does Canada stick with him in the net?
Yeah, it's hard to imagine a scenario in which you trot out a new goaltender for the winner-take-all final. I think that if there was a spot to try Aiden Hill, it would have been the game yesterday against Finland. They chose to ride with Binnington, and I think now you've kind of seen their mentality. It's we're either gonna thrive or we're gonna die with this guy in net. And there's a good chance of either happening with Jordan Binnington, because he's that kind of player. He's pretty inconsistent, but when he's on, he is a big game player. And there is precedent for him going into Boston in a winner-take-all game and showing out and helping his team win a championship. The St. Louis Blues did it in 2019 in that same building. So, I don't blame them for riding with their guy. It is a risk, because you've seen Jordan Binnington give up some bad goals in this tournament already, specifically on Saturday. The 2 goals that he gave up against the Americans weren't the best I've ever seen. I think that the Jake Gensel goal that he allowed right after the Connor McDavid goal to even things up was probably the worst goal allowed in this tournament. So, it's a risk, but they're choosing their guy and they're riding with him till the end.
So then, Pete, who are you choosing? Who wins in the Garden on Thursday?
First of all, that accent is not what I'm choosing. That's a terrible accent, but we'll move past it. I think it's razor close, and it could go either way. If you wanted to choose Canada and say, I'm riding with them based off the top tier talent, based off of how they're healthier than the Americans at this point, they kind of have a little bit of momentum after that Finland win, even though it was a little shaky. Sure, I'll allow you to say that, but I am an American myself. There's no chance I'm picking against Team USA, and I think that at the end of the day, goaltending is often the great equalizer, and the Americans have the best goaltender, not only in this tournament, but in the world this season in the NHL, and Connor Hellebuck. So he could absolutely be the difference. He's been unbelievable to this point in the tournament, and they've got Jordan Binnington, who we just talked about, pretty unpredictable. So I'm going to ride with the Americans as an American myself, but it could go either way, and I think that we're all just happy that we're getting this rematch on Thursday night.
Pete, you sound wicked smart with that prediction, and I think that rocks. Is that better?
I got to get out of here. I got to get out of here.
Pete, we appreciate it. We'll get set for Thursday. I'll work on my action a little bit more, bit by bit, and improve as we look ahead to Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern from the Garden, and the U.S. won round one in that round robin meeting back on February 15th. But now this one is where all the intrigue will be there. We'll see, hopefully, and hear no booing during anthems and get some play and maybe some fights here or there.